Listen, I can't wait for Where Winds Meet. Just a few days until release and I can't sleep. Am I the only one with that problem or...
No.
No?
I made a lot of content about the game. You can find so many videos about Where Winds Meet on my channel. And if you didn't watch any of them, check them out. They are in the video description and I think they are great. But in today's video, I wanted to do something completely else because I wanted to go over all the available settings in the game and I wanted to talk about them and what you should choose in order to get the best experience out of the game. So if you are about to start the game, whenever you get the chance, pause, go into the settings and let's go over them. And we are also going to do the discussion about going with a controller or going with mouse and keyboard. So if you are interested about that, stay tuned. Before we start, just a quick note. This is an early access version of the game, so there might be changes in the final version. So just so you are aware that this is probably not how your settings will look, but very close to that. So let's start with the basic settings, and I recommend for camera mode, this is something that the game will ask you early, just go ARPG mode. Not MMORPG mode, go ARPG, because this is an ARPG. It's not supposed to be played like a classic MMORPG. So there's no need to hold right click because you can't click enemies and stuff like that. So just pick the ARPG move, do yourself a favor. Next up, I recommend you go with skill display mode simple and not advanced, because advanced is going to show you light attacks and heavy attacks as skills, and this just doesn't make any sense because they don't have cooldown, so it doesn't make any sense to show them on the UI. So let's go into the game settings. So if you have the recommended combat difficulty, you will have the option of assist deflection. That will also be something that the game will ask you at the beginning. And what that does is it basically slows down time when someone is about to hit you, and you will get a prompt to press parry. Now, if you are a very casual player and you just want an easy experience, you can do that. But I highly recommend you to not use auto assist. Because first, this is an ARPG. It's supposed to be played like Sekiro, so obviously its combat should be a little harder and you should learn to parry. And the second reason is that if you want to play the MMO mode and eventually even PvP, there will be no auto parry assist, because obviously time can't slow down in the multiplayer aspect of the game. So I recommend just turn it off. And I even recommend for the full fun experience to go with expert. It's not extremely hard. It's like the perfect balance of not too casual, not too hard. Hey, I'm editing the video right now and I found out that there is a Legends difficulty, and if you want to unlock extra titles and extra badges, you should go with that if you are up for the challenge. I will do that probably on stream, but if you are up for the challenge, if you like Souls games, probably pick even the Legends difficulty. You can always change it. I also recommend to turn ranged attack hint off because it's just making the game easier and again helps you to parry ranged attacks, and just get used to not having any assists. Unless you want a very easy experience and you are very casual, you could obviously activate it, but I would just deactivate it for the real experience. Approach cover is another thing that makes the sneaking parts of the game easier. I think you should also turn it off, just for the full experience. When it comes to guidance mode, I would say go with free exploration and not detailed, because detailed is just going to tell you what you need to do in your quest. And free exploration expects you to explore a little and find out by yourself. So I would go with free exploration for just the fun experience. When it comes to player locking, this is up to you, whatever you like. I personally prefer whenever I press the lock on button, it chooses the enemy that is the closest to me. And if you want auto lock switch and prioritize the target at the center of the screen, this is up to you. Next up, something very important, skill approach. So what skill approach does is if you press a skill and the enemy that you have locked on is not inside your range, your character will move closer to the enemy before he uses the skill. I don't like it. I feel like I'm losing control over my character for a short amount of time. Maybe you like it, maybe you can't really remember the range of your skills, then you should use it, but otherwise I would just deactivate it. The next important question that you should ask yourself is the treasure hunt mode. Now, This is something important. So there is a wanted system in the game, so you can be wanted if you break the law. Like killing NPCs, for example, stealing, all of that can give you a wanted status, and then you will have to escape from authorities. And if your wanted status is like very high, you can also be invaded by other players that can bounty hunt you. But that means that the wanted level needs to go very high, and you have to force it, trust me. Now, the treasure hunt mode allows you to destroy objects in the game world, which will allow you to find treasure sometimes, but it also could happen that you destroy property from NPCs, like fences that they have built around their fields and stuff like that, which ultimately increases your wanted level slightly. And if you deactivate treasure hunt mode, this can't happen, but it's harder to find treasure. So if you never want to be wanted in the game, you should deactivate it. But if you want the full experience, including maybe being wanted for destroying something that you shouldn't destroy, you should activate it. I recommend for the full experience, just activate it. And the rest of the settings, like if you want your medicine to switch to another medicine when it's empty automatically, is up to you. I think, why not? Next up, let's talk about the camera mode, and I recommend going with the wide character zoom because you will just see far more of the screen, but not like super zoomed out like in World of Warcraft. You're just going to see a little more. And trust me, it will help in many situations, including PvP and stuff like that. It will just help. Because if you go default, the camera... I think the camera is a little too close for my taste. But if you go wide, I just think it's perfect. I just think that is absolutely perfect. Camera direction correction, I would leave that on close, because if you enable it left or right, the camera will like move with your character. And I just like if the camera just stays how it was supposed to stay. But that's up to you. The next thing is pretty interesting because you might have seen the flying skills in the game, which look very, very good, which allow you to fly across the map. But there are actually two types of camera for this. The custom camera is basically showcasing you the full animations. It's going close to your character to do some aura shots and stuff like that. But there's also a free camera, and that means you will see a lot more of the game world around you while you use these lightness abilities. And I think that allows you to navigate far easier. So even though I think the shots are amazing, like the custom shots are very, very clean and cool, like the longer I play the game, the more I use lightness skills to just quickly travel around the map. And I prefer the free camera just to be aware of my surroundings and where I'm flying to. All right, next up, display settings. So first off, you can choose a visual style. That is really just up to you. Like they have different types of visual styles that will just put a filter over your game so it looks a little different. And I think they all look great, but I personally like some brighter stuff. But you could still decrease the brightness or increase it. But one important thing is that your game will be put to, I think, 60 FPS on default, and that is because VSync is activated. But if you deactivate VSync, you can actually put it to unrestricted. For an action RPG, I highly recommend using as many FPS as you can. And my preference is to turn motion blur off, but that's just me, so whatever. If you like motion blur, which makes the game blurry whenever you move, go for it. I don't like it. Besides that, if you have an NVIDIA card, I would go with DLSS and maybe balanced or even quality, and also frame generation, just to make sure that you get the maximum amount of frames out of the game. Obviously, if you have Intel, you should probably go with XeSS, and if you have AMD, you should go with FSR. But it depends whatever card you use. And the visual quality is really up to your system. I don't know whatever system you use. I prefer Ultra, but just because my system can run it. I don't know whatever you're playing on, so just adjust these settings according to your system. But if you have to turn down something, I would maybe go with vegetation, maybe even view distance. I think this will have a huge impact on the game performance, and maybe also reflection quality. All right, next up we have audio settings. Most of that is just up to your preference, so I don't think it's a science to just do these settings. But one specific thing is there's actually proximity voice chat in the game. If you don't want that, you should obviously turn it to 0 and turn your microphone to 0 as well. And there's also a voice changer that can actually change your voice. And I highly recommend to not do this because it sounds horrible. Like, what the hell? And lastly, we have the other settings. This is, by the way, also the place where you can exchange codes if you ever get a code for something. You can also put a lock over certain elements of the game. So if you share your character with your girlfriend or your kid, for example, you can put a lock on certain things so they can't delete friends or change the appearance or something like that. Do not activate the immersive mode. I just did that with F6 to hide the UI, but if you ever need cool screenshots with F6, you can hide the UI. But this is just activated because I just press the button. Map info, I would just go with detailed, because why hide stuff from the map? I don't see any reason for that. When it comes to invitation settings, and maybe you are a big streamer and you don't want people to spam spamming invitations to you, you can disable that, or friend request pop-ups. And the same goes for co-op invitations, guild invitations, and stuff like that. And if you are a streamer, again, I recommend turning voice message autoplay off, because some voice messages can be autoplayed in certain channels, like your, I don't know, your guild channels. Also, if you like the signposts on the floor by other players that give you hints in the solo mode, for example, just like in Dark Souls, make sure that the signpost settings are enabled. But that is basically it. Now, let's talk about the next question. Should you use mouse and keyboard, or should you use controller? Obviously, if you are playing on PS5, you don't have the choice, but if you're playing on PC, you have the choice. Now, I think there's an advantage to both of them. Let's start with mouse and keyboard. The biggest advantage when it comes to mouse and keyboard is when it comes to mystical arts. Because as you know, you can equip 8 mystical arts, and they are on the buttons 1 to 4. And if you want to do like mystical art 5 to 8, you have to hold Alt, and you can just press Alt and 1, for example. So if I press 1, I'm using this ability, but if I'm pressing Alt 1, I'm using this ability. Now, if I would do that on a controller, for example, as you can see, I have to press R2 and square for the first ability. But if I want to use the second ability, which is on slot 5 or Alt 1, I would have to press R2 down to switch the board, and then R2 square. And then I would have to go back up to the other skill board. I think that can be confusing, you know? So it's basically quicker to pull that off on mouse and keyboard. But of course, there's also a reason why you should eventually go with controller. And the reason is the parry function. So left click is attacking, right click is blocking. Now you can hold right click and press left click to parry. But the problem is you can't spam this, because if I spam this, this is going to happen. I'm going to attack. So I have to wait before I do it again. Now, if I do that on a controller, I can hold block and I can spam parry, and I'm not attacking. Now, there's a way around that on PC by basically holding block and using a specified parry button, which by default is E. So if I do that, I can spam it too. But the problem is I want E to be one of the skill buttons. I don't want that to be parry, because I have 2 weapon skills. One is on Q, and by default, one is on whatever the button on the left side of 1 is, which is too far away for me. So as you can see, it's kind of problematic when it comes to mouse and keyboard. So you either just go with controller and you accept that you have to switch the mystical art boards, which takes a little more time, but you are probably going to perform better when it comes to parrying. Or if you are like me and you are very stubborn and you want to stick with mouse and keyboard, and I would instead put parry on right mouse click. And that's a stupid thing to say, but just get good. Just learn parrying and never block. Because block doesn't mean you get 0 damage. You get damage, just reduced damage. So you should always parry anyway, or dodge anyway. And instead of having parry on the E button, I use Q for the first weapon ability and E for the second weapon ability. So if you want to have my PC settings, because I'm probably going to play on PC, you should join my Discord server, because I'm still waiting for release, because there might be some changes. And then I'm going to share my PC settings when it comes to controls in my Discord server. So if you want to copy my PC keyboard settings, just come to the Discord server. And if you are looking for a guild and you are from Europe, you can just join my Discord server as well, because I am going to run a guild in Europe and I'm looking for European players to join the guild. So feel free to check my Discord server out. We are happy to take on everyone. So I hope this video was helpful for you, so you can make the right decisions when it comes to settings for your game. And if you know another setting that I didn't know about, just share it in the comment section below. And also something that I want to know, do you prefer mouse and keyboard or controller? Please let me know in the comment section what you prefer, because I really want to know what the preferred control method of most of you is. Now, there are a few other things that I wish I knew when I started playing the beta, and I made a video about that. Everything you should know to have a smooth start into the game, and you can find the video here. It's a great video, and it was a lot of work. So just check it out. And if you don't have the time for it, thank you for watching this video, and I see you in the next one. Have a good one. Bye bye.